Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Aaron Maurer here with another Living Under Chaos, little newsletter, a little tech tip of the week for you. We'll be taking a look at the Gmail filter, and in particular using the Google Classroom, all the notifications that come with Google Classroom, to help you understand how to create Gmail filters. This will work even if you're not using Google Classroom. You can use this concept with absolutely any email that comes into your inbox. So what we want to do in this video here is help you set the stage, learn how to create a filter. There's a couple ways to do that. Learn how the label will work, and then in particular, how I would break down and nest some labels for my Google Classroom. I've used Google Classroom for some prior PD. I'm using it right now for some current PD. Many of you are using it for your classroom. And like I said, even if you're not using Google Classroom, these filter concepts will work very well for you as well. And I will then also have a separate video for you to use with students, taking a look at how students could potentially filter their inbox with all the notifications. So let's go ahead and get started. You can create filters several ways. The first way is you have this little drop-down triangle at the very top in your search Gmail option. And what this does is, one, it allows you to search, and you can search by an email that it's from, who it's to if you've been sending email, something in the subject line, an email that just has a group of words or what it doesn't have. You could also go by date and range and all these other things. So if we take a look through this way here, let me go ahead and show you what this looks like. So in particular, Google Classroom, I know that if I go every single notification that comes through from Google Classroom, regardless of what the notification is, always ends with @classroom.google.com. And you will notice here that this create filter option pops up. But just so you can see that this works, I'm just going to copy this real quick. If I were to go to search, I'm going to get a bunch of notifications. These are all from all the different courses and things that I run with Google Classroom. They're all right here. So that's one way for you to search to see what you have, to realize, holy cow, Google Classroom gives me a lot of notifications. But what I wanted to do here is, if I go back down to this drop-down menu, I can click Create a Filter. And when I do that, what this allows me to do is to design a system for when anytime a email comes, in this case, comes from this domain. Now, I could have made this very specific, like one person or one particular class, but in this case, I just want all of them captured. So I can adjust this from, like I have a filter that are all the emails that come from my wife, and that goes to a urgent inbox, so I know that I need to take care of that. So you can do it very individual as well. But in this case, all Google Classroom emails. Now, I can do several things, and I'm not going to go through every single option. This is where you get to pick the system that works best for you. You're going to be able to change these filters. So if you try one way and realize after a week, boy, that's not really what I like, you can always change that, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. But what I want to do, my goal here is to streamline my inbox, to not feel pressure to constantly respond to every single notification, every single email. I'm working very hard. We have to, as our home and our workspaces are blending together more and more than ever before. I'm going to make sure that it skips the inbox. None of these are actually going to head to the inbox of my Gmail account. They're not going to be deleted, but they're not going to be in there. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a label. Okay, now I can go through and I can use one that I've already created, or I can create a new label, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to create a new label here, and I'm just going to call this Google Classroom. You can call it Google Classroom Notifications or GC, whatever it is that you would like to do, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Create here. Now, when I do that, I now have it set up where it's going to skip the inbox. It's then going to give all those emails that end in @classroom.google.com this label. I could do these other things. I could forward it. I could delete it. I could mark it as important, any of those other things, but I'm not going to do that. But what I want to do is this. I want to apply to matching conversations. So what this will do, this one here will go through and scan my inbox for all the emails that have @classroom.google.com. Okay, so that part is pretty cool. And when I create this filter now, okay, so now over here, I have this label of Google Classroom. And you can see now that all those emails that have the at classroom.google.com are now in this particular inbox. So you're going to notice then if I go back up to my inbox, all right, and I open these up, none of my Google Classroom emails are there. They're gone. So now my inbox has been streamlined, which is really, really nice. Okay, so let's take this to the next step here. Okay, so if I were to go into my Google Classroom, all right, and I'm in here working. Now, I have all sorts of different notifications that come in. Some of these are more important than others, all right? So, for example, I want to make sure that I emphasize and don't miss any private comments. That seems to be one that a lot of educators are thinking about, and they're like, I always feel like I'm missing out, or I forgot to check one, or respond to a kid, or trying to build those relations, and it's really tough. So, check this out. Every single email where a kid has a private comment always has this in the subject. It's always their name and then added a private comment. Now, I don't need to know which particular assignment unless you want to be that specific, but I don't think that's the case. So we're going to copy this right here. Okay, this added a private comment. And what we're going to do, you guessed it, right? We're going to create a filter. And in the subject, I'm going to put add a private comment. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and create a filter. So now you can see behind me here, I've got 50 comments. In this case, or 50 private comments. So it's a lot. Now some of these were from back from the summer. Again, what I want to do is I'm going to have it skip the inbox. All right. But now I can do a couple things. One, I'm going to apply another label to this. Okay, I'm going to create a new label, and I'm going to call this Google Classroom. Actually, you know what? I'm going to back this up. I'm going to call it private comments. And I'm going to click this nest label under. So what this is going to do is I'm going to scroll down, all right, to my Google Classroom. You can see I've got lots of things rolling here. Now I'm going to pick this. So what this is going to do, all right, is it's going to put the private comment label within my Google Classroom label over on the side. So when I go ahead and I'm going to create that label there, okay, and you can see there it kind of puts this hyphen in the private comments. And now you'll see actually over here too, see how it puts that in there? So now I can open and close this, and now I'm going to be able to start to organize my comments here as I get rocking and rolling. I can do a couple things. Depending on how you use your inbox, I could star this and put this in my starred folder. I'm not sure if you use the star folder or not, but that's a good way to do it. I can mark it as important if you use that system. Not everybody does. But I can see here, definitely I want to apply this to the 50 matching conversations that are in there. And so I'm just going to pick these three, but I want you to know, depending on how you use your inbox, the star is a nice option, or the never mark it, or I'm sorry, not never mark it as important, always mark it as important. I would pick one or the other. I wouldn't do both. That's a little overkill. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and create this filter. And now what I want to do is I want to show you something. If I go over here, all right, let me zoom this in here a little bit so you can see. There we go. Over here to the side, you get these three little dots. And if I click this, I can now do a couple things. I can edit. I can rename it if I needed to. I could remove it. I could add another label within it if I wanted to. But what I want to show you is this. And so my private comments are really just any comments in general. I think they're pretty important. So I'm going to make sure that they're red. So now you're going to be able to see here, okay, now I'm in my regular Google Classroom, just so you have them all pulled up. These are all in red, right? And you can see those. So now I can continue to go through and I can create other labels that I need to. So, I mean, another one that is probably important, okay, if I search here for the submitted late option, let me see if I can find one here. So you can see here, this is in the subject. Okay, so I could go through and I could copy that. All right, I can go down here. I could create a filter. All right, I'm going to skip the inbox here. I'm going to apply a label. I'm going to call it submitted late. I'm going to nest this under the Google Classroom. And you can see here when I go to search, all right, see how it kind of embeds it automatically within there. I'm going to do that. Okay, I'm going to apply it to the matching conversations. And I also want this to be a color. I want this to pop. So I'm going to make this a green here so that shows up. And so now you can start to see that I can organize. And I can continue to do this for all the things. So another quick tip too to help you as a teacher is these here. See, these are assignments that I scheduled. Okay, I don't need that notification. So see this posted schedule assignment. All right, I could delete that out. Like I don't need that, and so I could delete this piece. Now I'm not going to, because if I'm part of another course, I kind of like to have those options there. But if you are tired of your own emails, they can go, and you could just actually create a filter. Okay, so I could just posted schedule assignment. All right. And what I could do then is, if the subject has posted schedule assignment, we're going to create a filter. And what I could do is I could just click delete it, and it'll never actually make the label. It'll be gone forever. So this is also good if you have spam or other things like that. So you can play around with this. I mean, the ones that I think are really important for a teacher, especially with Google Classroom, but for anything in Google Classroom, is the resubmitted. The other one of submitted late, private comment. So I use keywords. So I could put private comment, and then my keyword for all my Google classes is coffee. Okay, so these here, I know. So if I open up this one here, I have a system in my coursework where if a student uses the word coffee in all caps to start their comment, that means that this is urgent, this is important, and they want me to respond. So for this particular one, okay, I'm going to create another filter, because to me, this is more important than just comments in general, because sometimes you get like weird comments like, hey, my dog's cool, and things like that. But I know the ones with coffee are really important. So I would create another label for that. Now, the last thing that I want to show you, because you can go through now and start to think about all the different labels that you want. I like the nesting feature. I like the color feature, which is really, really nice for you to think about. But when I go here, here's the last thing that I want to show you. We're going to go up here to our gearbox up here, okay? And a couple things that I want to show you. First, we're going to go to our layout, our inbox type, and we're going to choose priority. Now check this out. I'm going to go to customize. So in our inbox now, we have sections in priority of any email that's marked important or unread. There's a section for it. So that's what that filter is. If you mark an email as important, it's going to layer up right in there. We have a section for any starred email. So if you use the starred system, that's where your emails go. So you can use that as part of your filter. Everything else just drops down. But notice we have an empty one. So check out what I can do here. I'm going to go to add section. All right. I'm going to go to more options. And what I can do then is I can actually create a separate section for my Google Classroom. And I can put that right there. All right. And I might actually make this 50 items, because there's going to be a lot in there. And now when I go and save this, check this out. It's so cool. My inbox now is going to have 4 sections. I have my important and my unread. Okay. I have my starred, which there's currently nothing in there, but I can make that a separate folder. I can make, every private comment with coffee, I can give the label of star, and it would put it in there. But here, look at all my Google Classroom labels are in this particular section. So it's not in the rest of my inbox, but it's all in this category. Then everything else is down below. Okay. So why is this important? This is important because as we get into other learning things that we're doing and other people that we're working on, is we talk about chunking our time. So I might give, and this is what I do actually when for my own work, I'm going to give 30 minutes for Google Classroom notifications. So from this amount of time to this amount of time in the morning, that's when I'm going to be checking, and I'll do it again in the evening. And I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to let the people know that I work with. That's what I do. I'm not going to be checking 24/7, feeling the need to always respond. So I can keep all that hidden. You know, I can drop down, have my important emails, my everything else, and my starred, and then I know when it's time. Okay, you know what? It's time for me to do my Google Classroom notifications. So now I'm going to go here. I'm going to drop this down, and now I can get to work. And I see I have 104 here, so what am I going to do? I'm going to get moving, and I'm going to sort and cycle these through and get this work done. And when I'm done, I can just close this section up. All right, my friends. So this was a long video, but I'm trying to give you not just the how, but the why behind it. So here's what I would love to hear from you. One, what was helpful? Number two, how are you creating filters? I'm very intrigued by the filtering system that educators are using, in particular Google Classroom. So then later I can add that to the newsletter, and everybody can benefit from your organization strategy. So definitely reach out, leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube, or reach out via email, whatever it might be. Let me know how the filters are working for you. And as always, my friends, remember to stay awesome. Peace.